Hello everyone, this is Life is Very Colorful. Welcome back to my channel. আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা নিয়ে। আমি শারমিন তিশা বস্টো। This is my brother-in-law Yasin.
Hi, I'm a software engineer and I will do my best to answer your visa questions.
Okay. So আমি আপনাদেরকে ফার্স্টে জানাতে চাই is a good news for everyone which is student or work permit or family visa or anything. So after 60 days, I mean 2 মাস হয়ে গেছে অলরেডি আমাদের এমবাসি ক্লোজ, কোনো ভিসা অ্যাপ্লাই করছে না। অ্যাকচুয়ালি কোনো ভিসা অ্যাপ্লাই করার মতো অবস্থা এখন নাই বিকজ অফ কোভিড-19। সো করোনা ভাইরাসের জন্য ভিসা কনসুলার সবকিছু অফ আছে। যারা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ দায়িত্বে আছেন U.S. এম্বাসিতে ইন বাংলাদেশ, তারাও সবকিছু বর্তমানে অফ করে রেখেছে বিকজ অফ দ্য ভাইরাস থিংস। সো 2 মাস পর আমরা একটা গুড নিউজ পেলাম, সেটা হচ্ছে ভিসা ওপেন হবে। সো আমি আপনাদেরকে এটাই জানানোর জন্য চেষ্টা করব ফুল ভিডিওতে যে কিভাবে আপনারা স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা অ্যাপ্লাই করবেন, স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা করতে কি কি লাগে, অ্যাপ্লাই ফিটা কত এবং ইউনিভার্সিটিগুলো কীরকম ক্যাটাগরির হতে পারে এবং আপনারা কিভাবে খুব সহজেই অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারেন। সো প্লিজ এখনো যদি কেউ আমার ইউটিউব চ্যানেলটি সাবস্ক্রাইব করে না থাকেন, প্লিজ সাবস্ক্রাইব। অ্যান্ড আমার একটা গ্রুপ আছে, ফেসবুক গ্রুপ লাইফ ইজ ভেরি কালারফুল, আপনারা সেখানে জয়েন হতে পারেন এবং আপনাদের যদি এক্সট্রা কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে আপনারা সেখানে করতে পারেন বিকজ আমার সবগুলো কোশ্চেন আমার গ্রুপ থেকে কালেকশন করা। সো আমরা এখন স্টার্ট করব একটা কোশ্চেন দিয়ে, সেটা হচ্ছে হোয়াট ইজ আ স্টুডেন্ট ভিসা?
Okay, a student visa, as known to people in the United States and students of Bangladesh, is a method by which you apply to go to school in the United States. Now, it can be high school, it can be vocational school, it can be culinary school, it could be medical school, it could be for a master's degree, it could be for a bachelor's degree. But a visa is the method by which you will be allowed entry into this country, the United States of America, and into a school which hopefully accepts you. There are 3 classes of student visas. Okay, there are the J class of visas, there are the F class of visas, and there are the M class of visas. An F class visa is typical for people coming from Bangladesh and India. Generally, they would be applying for their bachelor's degree at a university, and my own parents went through that process, as well as many people in my family. And so I'm uniquely familiar with what it is like to be on an F1 visa in this country. So the difference between the 3 classes of visas are that the type of school that you go to. For a J class of visa, you could be interning in the United States, you could be doing a short stint, like a 1 or 2 week program where you are an exchange student and you get to experience the culture and the life of the United States. But there are no strict requirements for degrees, and there are no qualifications that you need to demonstrate in order to get a visa like that. However, J visas are generally shorter in length, and you would generally apply for a J visa only to supplement a degree that you are getting in Bangladesh or India. As is typical, F class visas and M class visas. M class visas are for things that are not related to academic studies. In other words, like if you're going to
training kind of stuff.
If you're going to cooking school, for example.
Yeah, if I wanna take a specifically training, like cooking training, it will be like electric. It will be like any engineering training, not like a master's degree. It's not like a BBA, not like a master's, not like a secondary school. It's only for a certain time.
It's for a particular certification or a special qualification. That's the M class of visas. Okay. It's like, for example, you wanted to learn to become a professional driver, or like a cook, or like a medical phlebotomist or something like that. Somebody who could draw blood. And you're basically going to take that experience and go back to Bangladesh and apply what you learned here. That would be the M class of visas. But typically, and what you are probably most interested in, is getting admitted to a university or college or high school in this country as a full-time student. And that is the F class of visa, so an F1 visa.
So F1 visa required a full-time student.
Generally, yes,
Not
F1
like-
visas require a full load of academic courses.
Yes, so
and
if
you are
anybody, so যদি কেউ full-time student না হন, so তারা student visa এর জন্য apply করতে পারবে না। Like student visa তাদের জন্য না, যারা full-time student না।
Right,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
More
So-
or less, that is correct.
Okay, and আমি আমাদের ভিডিওটা ইংলিশ এবং বাংলায়, তার কারণ হচ্ছে যদি আমেরিকা আসতে হয় আপনাকে স্টুডেন্ট ভিসায়, you have to be know English. If you don't know English, so this video is not for you. If you know English, so just watch our video full, don't skip, just watch fully, because whole video we will give you like important notes so you can know information more. So my next question is, how can I apply for a student visa in United States or U.S.A? How can I apply?
Well,
What
there
the
is
process?
a incredibly interesting process. I don't want to say complicated because I don't want to discourage people. But there is a process and there are checklist steps that you would need to follow in order to get a visa into this country. The first step takes place in Bangladesh itself. You must apply for a passport from Bangladesh.
Yes, so
get-
you have to be a valid passport.
You have to have
Like
your passport.
at least 6-month valid passport before you apply for the student visa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So once you have your Bangladeshi passport, at that point, you generally want to start looking at admission requirements for U.S. schools. And the admissions requirements typically mean that you have to score high in your current studies, whether you are applying from high school to college, or whether you are going from college to master's degree, or even higher than that in higher academics. You have to maintain good grades in that standing, as well as do well on international tests.
Okay, I have one question here.
Sure.
What is the good grade you means? Like A plus? Because in our country, people thinking who is like have A plus or golden GPA 5, they can apply for it only, or they have or somebody have a 2 point or 2.90, 2.19.
I
they
wouldn't
can
say
apply
that a
for that?
2.9 would be good or bad. I would say generally if you are above a 3.5, you have a good chance of getting into an American school.
No.
There are a variety of different schools in this country, and as long as you have relatively good grades, those schools should accept you. Don't be discouraged if you are not a perfect straight A student with a 5.0 or 4.0 GPA with honors from Bangladesh. That is not necessary for you to get into the
So the
school.
main point or main message for all student, like who is under 18, who is in the school right now, right, for the SSC. So আপনাদের জন্য বলছি SSC পরে আপনাদের যে সময়টা থাকবে সেই সময় অবশ্যই আপনারা সবাই ট্রাই করবেন IELTS করার জন্য, right?
Well, there are two different exams. There's the TOEFL exam and then
Okay.
there's the IELTS.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the two admissions exams that you need to get into school in this country, those are the two major ones. There are some schools that do not require either of those exams. However, those schools require their own set of criteria. They have their own exams, or they will use an online service, or generally you have to pass an English language proficiency
So how
exam.
much score they need for applying IELTS? So there have two different kind of English courses, which is one is IELTS and one is TOEFL.
Right.
Right?
So the TOEFL is scored from 1 to 30, and it has 3 different requirements. Forgive me,
Okay.
I'm going to reference my notes here. But basically, the TOEFL is the test that has a listening component, a speaking component, and a writing component. All 3 components are scored from 1 to 30.
So one is listening, মানে আপনি শুনবেন, আরেকটা হচ্ছে আপনাকে বলতে হবে, আরেকটা হচ্ছে আপনাকে লিখতে হবে. So 3 different kind of is
Right.
TOEFL.
And generally, I want to say you have to score between 22 and 30 in listening, 26 and 30 in speaking, and 24 and 30 in writing on the TOEFL exam. On the IELTS, there is an additional category. The additional category is reading, and the IELTS uses a 1 to 9 scale for each category. and I would say you want to be scoring at least an 8 in each category.
So they need 8 score
in order
for
to
applying a U.S. student visa.
not just for applying for the visa, but to get admission
In a college or university, whatever.
in a college or
Because
university.
they have a requirement like 8.
Yes, generally the requirements.
So
would
the
be
message is, whatever is IELTS or TOEFL, আপনাদেরকে 8 স্কোর পেতে হবে, তাহলে আপনারা কোয়ালিফাইড হবেন যে কোনো স্কুল কিংবা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে অ্যাপ্লাই করার জন্য। Okay, so
now we've talked about application requirements, and we've talked about the exams that you need. There is a third additional requirement which everybody loves to talk about, and it might be the most discouraging of all, and that is that you must have a significant chunk of money available to you in order to apply and go to school in the United States. Generally what happens is the application fees by themselves equal about $1,000. The visa application itself has a $200 fee. In addition to that, when you go to the embassy and you have an interview, there are additional fees which generally lead to about $400 additional after that, and another $500 depending on which forms you're required to fill out.
Okay, so in total, so $200 for applying fees. Student visa fees, like not a student visa, it's for applying fees.
So $200 is an application fee. That's pretty standard, US dollars. Then after that, you would have
so
a $400
US
fee.
$200 আপনার লাগবে হচ্ছে শুধুমাত্র ফি অ্যাপ্লাই করার জন্য স্টুডেন্ট ভিসার জন্য, which is $200 means Bangladeshi taka, which is
well, I generally
16,000 থেকে 17,000 এর মতো।
I usually use 82 as the conversion factor. But
okay,
here's what else I can tell you besides that. If you don't have immediately available to you about 1 lakh for the application process, it is not a good idea to apply to the student visa exchange program.
Okay, so student visa apply করার জন্য আপনাদেরকে at least আপনাদের হাতে 1 লাখ টাকা থাকতে হবে ফুল প্রসেসের জন্য। আপনার ভিসা অ্যাপ্লাই, আপনার যে কোনো স্কুল বা যে কোনো ইউনিভার্সিটি বা যে কোনো কলেজ আপনার অ্যাপ্লাই করার জন্য যে ফর্মটা, সেই ফর্মটা হচ্ছে I-120.
There's the I-20 form, there's the DS-60 form, there's a bunch of different forms that you can go through. I'm not going to get into the details on which forms you need to fill out, but once you've started the application process, you will fill out probably between 6 and 7 forms before you are handed a visa, and you will have to go to an interview at a U.S. embassy to complete the process. But that is all easy to look up online, and all of those forms are available online. Check the description of the video, and I will provide some links to the forms that you need to get started if you're interested.
So what is the application, how much is the application fee?
As I said before, the application fee is $200.
Okay.
All right. In addition to that money, just for the application process to know whether you got accepted or not, you need to pay tuition in this country. The average student in the United States pays about $28,000 per semester for their degree. And for international students, that money goes up to about $35,000 or more. If you're applying to a state school like the University of Minnesota, or the University of Iowa, or North Dakota State University, South Dakota State University, or where my parents went, which was in Madison, Wisconsin. That's known as Mad State.
So what kind of document they need for applying, like student visa? কোন ধরনের papers তাদের দরকার পড়বে?
So you need, like I said, you need your passport.
Okay, valid
and
passport.
You need a valid passport. You're going to need your police clearance form.
Police clearance form,
you're going to need a bunch of other things as well.
Like birth certificate, pictures.
You'll need a birth certificate.
Okay.
You'll need passport pictures to go with your passport application.
So passport pictures means U.S. embassy, they require like a U.S. embassy একটা নিজস্ব passport, like pictures যে আমরা বলি যে passport 1:1, right?
Sure what the specifications of the pictures are, but generally I would say don't worry too much about the specific requirements.
Okay.
There will be a series of documents that you need to read and fill out. and you should provide pictures that are the size on the Department of Education's website. So if you go to Google U.S. Department of Education and you look up their visa applications, they will specify, okay, it'll be about $35,000 for out-of-state, in other words, out-of-country students to apply to an American university. Now, this is a per semester cost. Generally, there are 2 semesters for each year in college, and for a bachelor's degree, you are spending 4 years. That means that you are spending $25,000 per semester for 4 years. So, in other words, there's quite a bit of money that's involved here. I would say between $60,000 per year to $80,000 per year. Now,
so 60,000 and 80,000, which is like Bangladeshi, how much money you think?
Well, roughly between 70 lakhs to 90 lakhs, something like this.
So 70 লাখ থেকে 90 লাখ টাকা আপনাদের খরচ হবে এই 4 বছরের ডিগ্রি কমপ্লিট করতে. That means
I want to make a very important qualification at this point though. This is for decent, very good universities. There are universities out there that cost far less. $7,000 per semester, or even less than that, $6,800 per semester. That sort of thing, like 5 or 6 lakhs.
So আপনাদেরকে চুজ করতে হবে
But generally,
ভালো ইউনিভার্সিটি যেগুলাতে কস্টিং কম বা সেমিস্টার ফি কম,
correct.
এরকম ইউনিভার্সিটি আপনাদেরকে
The cost of tuition will be between 60 and 90 lakhs per year. You'll go to college here for 4 years, or university here for 4 years. And I'm focusing specifically on the college track because the high school track is a little bit different. For high schools, the cost of tuition is also includes room and board, and for high school students, it means that you will be paying to stay at the school's facilities, and you will need much more than that. For college, generally the tuition is just the focus. You can arrange for other accommodations for your living. You don't have to stay at the university all the time. You don't have to be in the student housing. You can be staying with a relative or friend. But high schools, generally, once you apply to this country, you must board at that high school and you must remain on the campus and use the high school for all of your expenses. Okay.
So, fees for books.
Okay. So the fees that you generally pay per semester for books, it really depends on what your major is. If you need, I would say textbooks in this country cost about anywhere between $30 to $100 per book, even sometimes more than that. If you're taking advanced chemistry, if you're taking a degree in engineering, which is what I'm most familiar with, your math textbooks and your physics textbooks, your chemistry textbooks will all cost you upwards of $100 per book. So you should generally set aside about $100 for books per class that you take. There might be some classes that have converted completely to using online textbooks. Some classes, you will use the professor's textbooks, the books that they have wrote themselves, in which case they will offer them to you at a discount, or you may be able to obtain a free copy from the professor. It really depends on your school. But just keep in mind that you need to set aside for each semester between $400 to $500 for textbooks that you're going to need to get good grades and attend all of your classes at the schools. Okay?
Okay. So, আমরা এখানে বেশ কিছু ইনফরমেশন পেলাম, সেটা হচ্ছে how you apply for a student visa in the United States, how much cost for the apply fee, how much cost a tuition fee, and what is the preparation. So আমি আপনাদের সবাইকে একটা কথা বলতে চাই, স্টুডেন্ট যারা আছেন, যারা আমার এই ভিডিওটা দেখবেন, স্টুডেন্ট ভিসার জন্য আপনাদেরকে at least prepared হতে হবে যখন আপনারা HSC লেভেল কমপ্লিট করবেন, লাইক কলেজ, আপনারা কলেজের HSC পরীক্ষা শেষ, এখন আপনারা বসে আছেন বাসায়, কিছু করার নেই, এখন আপনারা লাইক ঘুরতে যাবেন বা এরকম কোনো কিছু, হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই এনজয় করবেন, বাট আমি বলবো ইন দ্য মেইন টাইম আপনারা কোর্সগুলো করে রাখেন, লাইক টোফেল, IELTS, এগুলো আপনাদের জন্য অনেক বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট এবং কাজে লাগবে। আপনারা যদি দেশের বাইরে পড়তে আসতে চান, স্পেসিফিকলি কানাডা, US, অস্ট্রেলিয়া, so you have to be prepared for that when you are like HSC candidate. So
I just want to emphasize one quick thing. All of the requirements and everything that I talked about in this video applies to the United States. That's why we're wearing United States flags and all the rest of these things. But
Yeah.
there are different requirements for Australia, different requirements for Canada,
yes.
different requirements for the United Kingdom. Okay.
Yes.
This is a process for applying to the United
Mhm.
States. It might be more difficult or less difficult. I am not sure for applying to the UK countries or England or Oxford or Cambridge or all the other
Mhm.
famous universities. There's one final recommendation that I want to make to Bangladeshi students. Bangladeshi students are smart.
course.
They're very good at math.
Of
They're
course.
very good at with numbers, and they're very good with engineering and what we call STEM courses in this country. Okay, so in this case, I strongly recommend that you pick a major that is worth your while in this country. I, in particular, chose the computer science track, went on into engineering, and I was once a pre-med student. I would encourage my Bangladeshi brothers and sisters to apply for a very similar track. Engineering is great, medical school is great, becoming a lawyer is great, all of these things, but keep in mind that you are paying a lot of money for a degree from this country. Don't just consider schools that will accept you. Shoot for schools that are respected in the international community. Schools like the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Schools like Caltech, which is the hardest computer science school to get into. Schools like Harvard, Yale, Brown, Princeton. These are the highest ranked colleges in the United States. I would highly recommend that applying to these schools would be considered like the best that you can do. I'm sure your family will be very proud of you, and I'm sure that you, if you get into those schools, it'll be something worthy of achievement. So please go ahead and do your best to apply for the better schools, and don't be discouraged by the fact that the entire world is competition, and you need to have like the top grades or anything like that.
Nothing.
These schools are looking for talented individuals,
Yes.
and that talent is measured in multiple ways. It's not just your grades, it is not just your whether or not you can do calculus or chemistry or math. It is whether or not you present yourself as somebody that has a dream, has a future, and will give back to that college or university, okay?
Yes.
So they're looking for those students, and there is nothing, you will never be able to succeed until you apply.
Yes.
And I strongly,
So you have to
strongly
be,
encourage you to
you
apply.
have to be applied. If you don't get a visa first time, so don't give up. Try again. Like আপনি এটা মনে করবেন না যে আমি ভিসা পাইনি, আমি আর হয়তো অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারবো না, এরকম কোনো কিছুই নেই। আপনি আবার অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারবেন, আবার ট্রাই করবেন। এটাকে নিয়ে ভয় পাওয়ার কিছু নাই। বি কনফিডেন্ট। আপনাদের অ্যাপ্লাইয়ের পর যদি আপনাদের ইউএস এম্বাসি থেকে মেইল আসে যে ইন্টারভিউতে যেতে হবে, জাস্ট কনফিডেন্টলি যাবেন, যাতে অফিসার্স আপনার কথা শুনে বা আপনার কনফিডেন্ট দেখে আপনাকে ভিসাটা দেয়। সো এটা টোটালি যখন ইন্টারভিউটা টোটালি আপনার উপর ডিপেন্ড করবে। ইন্টারভিউ অন্য কারো উপরে না। অফিসার্স আপনাকে দেখে কি মনে করবে বা আপনার যে রিপ্রেজেন্ট আপনি আপনার নিজেকে করবেন যে হ্যাঁ আমি পারবো, বা আমি স্টুডেন্ট, আমি ভালো, বা আমি আমেরিকা গিয়ে ভালো একটা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পড়াশোনা করে একটা ডিগ্রি নিয়ে বাংলাদেশে আসবো। সো সেটা যেন সে বুঝতে পারে। সো বি কনফিডেন্ট, ডোন্ট গিভ আপ। Right.
I'll talk a little bit about the people that I know that have succeeded. My mom was born in Dhaka, and my dad was born in Calcutta, India. My dad went on to achieve a double PhD in agronomy and chemistry. My mother went on to achieve a master's degree in nutrition. She works locally. We're in the state of Minnesota right now, and she works locally in a hospital here. My dad teaches at the local university. These are the heights that you should aim to achieve. My cousin, also, his family, his dad earned a PhD in electrical engineering, and his mom earned a master's degree also in electrical engineering. And this was all at the University of Minnesota, University of Madison, Wisconsin. Not the top universities, not the Ivy League, but all universities which generate some respect and are fairly good universities to get into. And believe me, if you are a good student and you demonstrate that you are capable of earning the degree at the university, they will give you financial aid and assistance. They will provide some money for you to go to school there. But it is all about motivation, all about what you can do and whether or not you can put yourself out there well enough to be accepted at the universities and
Yes, so
colleges.
আমেরিকা যারা ট্যালেন্টেড তাদেরকে অ্যাপ্রিশিয়েট করে এবং আমেরিকান গভর্নমেন্ট তাদেরকে ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল এড দেয় ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পড়ার জন্য, তাদের ভবিষ্যতে তারা যেন আরো ভালো কিছু করতে পারে এবং যে ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল এইডটা দেয় তাদেরকে, তারপরে যখন তারা লেখাপড়া শেষ করে জবে ইন করে তখন তারা আস্তে আস্তে সে যে লোনটা সেটা পে করে দেয়। সো আমেরিকান গভর্নমেন্ট অলওয়েজ their first priority is talented people and American government. আজকের মতো আমাদের শো এখানেই শেষ। আপনাদের যত কোশ্চেন ছিল, লাইক আমার গ্রুপে যারা আমাদেরকে কোশ্চেন করেছিল, আমি সেগুলোর অ্যানসার দেওয়ার ট্রাই করেছি। জানি না আপনাদের কাছে কতটুকু পৌঁছাবে বা পৌঁছাতে পেরেছি। ইনশাআল্লাহ আপনাদের যদি আরো কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে আমার ডেসক্রিপশন বক্সে আমার গ্রুপ লিংক দেওয়া থাকবে, আপনারা সেখানে গিয়ে আমাকে কোশ্চেনগুলো করতে পারেন, আমি সেগুলো নোট করে আবার আপনাদেরকে দেওয়ার ট্রাই করব। তবে আমার নেক্সট ভিডিও থাকবে ওয়ার্কিং ভিসা নিয়ে, অবশ্যই আপনারা দেখবেন। এবং যদি কেউ এখন পর্যন্ত আমার চ্যানেলটা সাবস্ক্রাইব না করে থাকেন, প্লিজ সাবস্ক্রাইব মাই চ্যানেল অ্যান্ড বেল আইকনটা অবশ্যই ক্লিক করে দিবেন যাতে আমার নতুন ভিডিওগুলো আসলে আপনাদের এখানে নোটিফিকেশনটা চলে যায়। অ্যান্ড লাইফ ইজ ভেরি কালারফুল, সো থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ওয়াচিং মাই ভিডিও। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন, সেফ থাকবেন এবং করোনা ভাইরাস থেকে নেগেটিভ থাকবেন।